All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the nomination for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the band Foreigner. Now, Foreigner's been around since 1977, formed primarily by Mick Jones, who had been in a few other bands, did some work with the Beatles actually before then, but he got a bunch of people together in the New York area in the mid to late 70s, teamed up with Lou Gramm, who was the lead singer of Foreigner for, many, many years, and who I would consider to be the best rock vocalist in history. So Mick and Lou were the driving force as far as the songwriting was concerned. Foreigner was not a band that had outside people coming in to help them write their stuff. They wrote pretty much everything. So an awesome writing duo, a mixture of British and American musicians. I think when you put them together, it had a very unique, cool sound. And Foreigner was wildly successful, especially from about 1977 to, I would say, about 1987. There weren't too many bands that were more successful, or too many artists that were more successful during that time. They were setting records early on. They were doing things that only the Beatles had done, if you look at it. Again, 80 million records worldwide. They're still streamed extensively to this day. Now, they weren't a band that really people would recognize. They weren't characters. It wasn't like David Lee Roth or something like that, or Steven Tyler. They were kind of faceless in some ways. They let their music do the talking, which I've always admired, because they certainly didn't make it because they were, Chippendales models and, had the right look. Back in the 70s especially, I think a lot of bands made it because they were good. Videos weren't really a thing, so the appearance was less of an issue. The music on FM radio was more important. So people made it because they were good. Now, it's not to say that that can't happen nowadays, but I do think, probably since the 80s and the rise of videos, I think appearance is much more important than it ever was back then. So if something should have been different for the band, if they would have done something different, I think they would have maybe put themselves out there a little bit more. Not to say that they should have been putting on makeup or doing crazy stuff. To me, when a band is out there with 50 dancers or doing a bunch of crazy other stuff, that means the music may or may not hold itself up. Foreigner could just sit there and do nothing, and the music would hold up their performance. Now, it's not to say Lou Gramm was a very charismatic frontman, awesome voice. So live, they were fantastic. But they probably could have done a little bit more to market themselves, but it was what it was. And it certainly didn't hurt their record sales with the 80 million that they sold and all that sort of thing. But really, what makes them is the music. So they have music that is instantly recognizable even today. Music that's still being played. They're one of the most played artists in rock history as far as like album tracks and FM radio. You probably wait 45 minutes, on an FM station now that plays old rock before you hear another Foreigner song. I mean, you're going to hear them multiple times a day. So wildly successful. And they were eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2002. And this is the first time they've been nominated. That's embarrassing. Honestly, that's embarrassing. They should have been nominated and inducted in 2002. Plain and simple. So what the heck has happened? Why have they been kept on the sidelines from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for this long? Well, I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but if you look into the matter, you'll find lots of stuff out there where it does appear to be the case that there was conflict between the band and a certain somebody associated with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who, by the way, in the recent past is no longer with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, that person's gone, and now Foreigner's been nominated. Coincidence? I think not. I think this actually speaks to a shift in the culture and the climate of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. With Foreigner now being nominated, I'm hoping this is kind of a floodgate that's going to allow other bands like Styx and REO Speedwagon, and I'm thinking a lot of those bands from the 70s and 80s that were almost as successful, who have some fantastic songwriters. Talking about Dennis DeYoung, Tommy Shaw, Kevin Cronin. I can talk about other bands. We can talk about a bunch of bands from that era that have been totally left out in the cold from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're going to get their chance. I think this is the sign of something good. So yeah, I think it was political. I think if Foreigner maybe had put themselves out there or had a character or two in the band that were more recognizable, I think people know the music, but they don't know the people behind the music. If you say, hey, Lou Gramm and Mick Jones, I don't think a lot of people are going to recognize the names, but they'll recognize the voice, they'll recognize the melodies, that sort of thing. So it looks like, based on the fan voting, that Foreigner's off to a good start. They're second as of the time of this video, trailing only Ozzy Osbourne, who I think is going to be a shoo-in. I mean, I'm not a huge Ozzy fan, not into his music all that much, but I can't believe he's not in already. I mean, just talk about a character. He's definitely been that for good and bad reasons. I mean, people know his history and what he's done, some of the things he did on stage. I mean, pretty much out there, but I think he needs to be in, and I think he's going to get in. I don't think it's going to be a question. But Foreigner's second in the voting. Peter Frampton was third. I think Dave Matthews Band. Foreigner should be in. I don't think it should be a question. But other organizations have recognized the band. So the Songwriters Hall of Fame inducted Mick Jones and Lou Gramm in 2013. And they were inducted during the ceremony by none other than Billy Joel, who was a big fan of Foreigner, and vice versa. Mick Jones produced his Stormfront album back in the late 80s. So they recognized the greatness of Foreigner. Heck, Lou Gramm is in the Metal Hall of Fame. He's not even really a metal singer. So how are they not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Well, I think that's going to change this year. So if you haven't voted yet, vote for Foreigner. Vote for anyone you think on the nominee ballot that you think should get in. But I would definitely, plug for Foreigner here. I think they deserve to be in. They're going to get in. And we'll see what happens here in the coming months, but they're off to a good start. And for those true Foreigner fans, you'll recognize that this is a Mr. Moonlight 1995 tour shirt from back in the day. A very underrated Foreigner album when Lou had gotten back with the band and was looking like a sign of things to come afterwards. Although unfortunately, Lou Gramm's brain tumor and other factors got in the way and they never really picked up where they left off. But hopefully they'll be recognized for the work they have done and their contributions to the world of music and more specifically, rock and roll. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Foreigner. Let me know what you think with regards to other bands that should be nominated here in the near future. There are a bunch of them. So until next time.